Welcome to our deep dive into election and representation in India. Today, we're zeroing in on the powerful, independent body that acts as the referee for the world's biggest democratic game, the Election Commission. You know, understanding how this all works is absolutely crucial, especially for your exams. So let's jump right in and get you prepped.
Okay, here's our game plan. First up, we'll meet the umpire of Indian democracy. Then, we're going to dig into its constitutional rulebook, see its powers in action, and figure out how it stays so neutral. We'll finish up by looking at some ideas for reform and hitting a quick study session to really lock in those key concepts for your exams.
So, let's kick things off with the big picture. You know, running an election in India is one of the biggest logistical puzzles on the entire planet. So the real question is, who is in charge of this whole massive show?
Just think about that for a second. We are talking about a game with nearly 1 billion voters, thousands of candidates, and just countless political parties. You absolutely need a powerful and totally neutral referee to make sure the contest is fair. So how on earth is that even possible?
Well, the answer is the Election Commission of India. Now, for the rest of this explainer, and definitely for your exams, I really want you to hold on to this one idea. The commission is the impartial umpire. Its only job is to make sure every single player, big or small, plays by the rules.
Right, so every umpire needs a rule book, yeah? So where does the Election Commission get all of its incredible power? Let's trace it right back to the ultimate source of its authority.
It all boils down to one single super important part of our Constitution, Article 324. You've got to remember that number. And see those 3 words, superintendence, direction, and control? That's the magic phrase. It's the bedrock of all its power. Even the Supreme Court has said, time and again, that this phrase gives the commission huge authority over pretty much every aspect of an election.
So what do those big, fancy constitutional words actually mean in the real world? Well, it means the commission is in charge of everything, from preparing the official voter lists and deciding the exact dates for elections to creating a really strict code of conduct for all the parties. Basically, when it comes to elections, what they say goes. Okay, so we know the rule book. But how does our umpire actually use these powers when things get heated during an election? Let's take a look at the commission in action.
The commission's job is just massive. It starts way before the voting by recognizing political parties and giving them their symbols. Then, as the election gets going, it cracks down with a strict model code of conduct. And get this, if it feels an election isn't free and fair, it has the ultimate power to postpone it or even cancel it altogether and order a revote. And during that whole time, it actually takes control of government officers to make sure everyone stays neutral.
And listen, these are not just powers on paper. The commission has used them. Back in 1991, the general election was actually postponed right in the middle of the process. And more recently, in 2002, the commission put the brakes on elections in Gujarat because of concerns about fairness, a decision the Supreme Court totally backed up. This just proves our umpire isn't afraid to make the tough calls.
Now, all this power would be kind of meaningless, maybe even dangerous, if the umpire wasn't neutral. So, how exactly is the Election Commission protected from political pressure? What's the secret sauce that keeps it independent?
Well, the structure of the commission itself has actually changed over time to make it stronger. It used to be just a one-person show, led by the Chief Election Commissioner, or CEC. But since 1993, it's been a team, a multi-member body with one CEC and 2 other election commissioners. And the key thing here is they all have equal decision-making power. This way, it's a collective decision, which stops any one person from having too much influence.
Okay, now here is a super critical exam concept, special majority. To protect the umpire from, say, a government that's unhappy with its decisions, the Constitution makes it incredibly difficult to remove the Chief Election Commissioner. The CEC has a secure job and can only be removed through this special, really high-bar process in Parliament. Let's use the analogy from your textbook to make this super clear. Imagine your class has 57 students in total, but on voting day, only 51 actually show up. Now, to pass something with a special majority, you can't just get a simple yes. You have to clear 2 different hurdles. So here's the thing you have to remember. Both of these conditions have to be met. It's not one or the other. First, you need the support of 2/3 of the people who are there and voting, but that's not enough. Second, that number also has to be more than half of the total class strength. This 2-part requirement is like a powerful double lock, making it extremely difficult to remove the CEC and, protecting their independence.
Of course, no system is ever perfect, right? Even with a strong umpire, new challenges always pop up. So, what are some of the reforms people have suggested to make this game of democracy even fairer for the future?
You know, a lot of ideas for reform have been thrown around over the years. They tend to focus on tackling the really big issues, like the huge influence of money in politics, or stopping candidates with serious criminal records from even running. There's also talk about making sure more women get elected and banning the use of caste or religion to get votes. These are the big debates that are shaping the future of our democracy.
All right, time for a lightning round review. These are the terms you absolutely, positively have to know for your exams. Let's lock them in.
First up, Article 324. This is it. This is the source code of all the Commission's power. And remember those magic words: superintendence, direction, and control.
Next, electoral rolls. It's a fancy term, but it's just the official voters list. The Commission's first job is always to make sure this list of players is accurate and up to date.
Then we have the Model Code of Conduct. Think of this as the special rulebook for the game that only applies during the election season, and you better believe the umpire enforces it strictly.
And finally, the Chief Election Commissioner, or CEC. This is the head umpire, and they are protected by that secured tenure and that super difficult removal process we talked about, the special majority.
So let's just end on this thought. For more than 70 years, the fact that we have regular and fair elections has been a cornerstone of Indian democracy. You know, this incredible consistency has built trust among voters, and it's earned India respect all over the world. And a huge part of that success story belongs to our powerful, independent umpire, the Election Commission.
And that's our breakdown of the Election Commission. I really hope this gives you the clarity you need to go out and just ace your exams. If you found this helpful, do me a favor. Like this, share it with your friends and classmates, and definitely subscribe to the A1 Institute YouTube channel for more explainers that make these tough topics simple. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.